Hey everybody, K-Ball here from Zurb, and today we're going to talk about the Abide component. Abide is a form validation library that ships with Foundation and lets you do front-end validation on input fields with custom validators however you want. So it kind of extends the HTML5 validation API to allow you to do both a set of built-in validations that we have and more custom ones. There's a lot of text in this example. There's a lot of markup, and we'll actually break it down piece by piece in a sec. But one thing I do want to highlight to you is this no validate on the form. So what that does is tell the browser, hey, don't use HTML5 validation because I got this handled. I'm doing it with Abide. If you don't do that, sometimes the HTML browser validation can interfere with your Abide validation, creating some bugs that are hard to track down. And variation across different browsers that implement different levels of validation as part of HTML5. By using Abide, telling the browser don't do the HTML5 validation, you can create consistent client-side validation across all browsers. So scrolling down, as an example of use, if you have things that are validated and you run them, they're going to look something like this. Now, this is like all parts of Foundation are customizable. So you can customize what the styles on these are. But essentially what's happening, and let's just hop into the console real quick here, is we are Abide, when it validates it, it runs this validation and it adds this is invalid label class to the label. And an is visible class to a form error that's embedded inside. So if you look at the markup before we do this, I can reset this to show it to us. If we look at what this markup looks like here, what we've got is we've got a label. Inside of it, we have some markup that specifies what the pattern is, similar to an HTML5 validation. And then we have a span that contains the error that is hidden by default. And you could, in your JavaScript, put in your custom errors. You can pre-fill, hey, this thing is required, that's what it is, however you want to do it. Then once we run that error, or show that error, it automatically updates with these invalid classes and a data invalid argument. So that causes all these displays to happen. If we were to update this in place, 1, 2, 3, 4, after we update it, it automatically gets updated by Abide. So when we look at what that markup looks like, you've marked the form with data Abide. You're going to have some sort of form error class on the input fields and required or other patterns of validation. You can also create a global error, data Abide error for if any errors show up, show this thing at the top. When you look through different things, you can hide things. If it's hidden or disabled, Abide is going to ignore it. It won't have anything to do with it. Abide triggers a whole bunch of different event listeners or events as it goes off on invalid, when it causes the form to be invalid, when it makes it valid, all that sort of thing. What's really fun is all of the different patterns and validators available. So this is kind of extending on, once again, the HTML5 validation. And every one of these validations, at least the built-ins, are pretty much all simple regular expressions, or not so simple. Like the email regular expression, that's pretty long. The URL regular expression, also pretty long. You get all of these out of the box with Abide. You get alpha, alphanumeric, integer number, looking for specific cards, CVV values, emails, all these different things. But you can also create custom patterns and validators. So you can use different, you can override the Foundation ones, or you can create new ones. And you can do that with regular expressions in the same way, or you can do it by creating functions that run and function. So it really gives you this kind of extensible, universal client-side validator. Like all Foundation components, the styles are customizable. You can customize them in the settings file, and the different JavaScript pieces are customizable via data attributes. So hopefully that's enough to get you started with Abide. It's one of the more complex plugins that we have available, but also one of the more useful. And so definitely recommend digging in, trying it out, experimenting with it, and then using it for your client-side validation.